this problem has got sorted out automatically. So
Okay,
I
okay,
don't know. So I think I
okay.
hope you people can hear my voice. Right, sir? No issues. I mean, we'll wait for Johnson, sir. I think shortly you'll be joining, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Meanwhile, the students, I think Velumani sir has posted the feedback link for this session. I request all the
Yes,
participants, please finish the feedback. I think that's very much important. Your feedback is very much important to us. Please make sure you people give finish the feedback. Yeah. Velumani sir, I think Johnson sir has joined us. Yes, sir.
Oh,
He's just
okay,
joined
okay.
us, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Sir, join பண்ணிட்டீங்களா? ஹலோ, சரியா கேட்கல.
Is it audible now? Okay.
So welcome Johnson sir. Good morning Johnson sir.
Good morning.
Good morning Johnson sir.
Yes, I'm
Can you hear my voice? Yes sir. So welcome to the session 2 of day 5 today. So on behalf of this session, I welcome Dr. Christian Johnson. Moreover, he's giving a second session in our open course. In the past, he has conducted session 1 in the day 3 regarding hydropower plants as an overview. So today he is going to give um, an expert talk about sustainable and innovative solutions for hydropower development. So I think you well known about today's speaker, as I already introduced him. So anyway, I'll just give an overview about him. So Dr. S. Christian Johnson is enriched with 30 plus years of experience, mingled with industry and academics, and he started his career in the early of 1990s in an engineering college at Mumbai, and again um, he completed his UG degree in civil engineering and MTech in aerospace structures, and he joined as a senior manager in Tamil Nadu Electricity Board. Later, it was named as Tamil Nadu Generation and Distribution Corporation, that is Tangitco, and he has served for a period of 20 years there, and he got voluntary retirement, and he had changed his career in the academic line, and he has served as dean in Excel Engineering College for the Civil Engineering Department, and now he is working as Director Academics at Erode Sengundal Engineering College, Perundurai, Tamil Nadu. So, and also he has got a lot of professional bodies in touch, like ICI, ISTE, SIGAR. So in this, I want to highlight this SIGAR, which was International Council on Large Electrical Systems, and he has traveled to several countries to enhance the career in this professional body, that is SIGAR. So, and I also want to tell that he has a lot of experience in power plants structures construction. So I think he had visited almost the leading power plants situated in and around the state and across the states also. So he has also published more than 22 articles in national and international journals, and more than 30 to 35 articles in national and international conference. So with this introduction, I would like to hand over the session to Dr. S. Christian Johnson. So please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, sir. Very good morning to all the participants. Today topic is sustainable and innovative solutions for hydropower development. Thank you, Dr. Velumani, for this nice introduction. In the last class, I gave a view about how power is tapped from the hydropower stations, and we came to know about various types of hydropower stations, right from runoff river plants, storage plants, pumped storage plants, and tidal plants, and the structures associated with all those plants. So, being a renewable energy, we need to set up a lot of hydropower stations set in our country in order to utilize the water that is available plenty in our country. That is one aspect. The other aspect is that it has got so many other demerits. Okay? And so the technocrats now need to provide solutions for sustaining this hydropower in order to tap its benefits, full benefits to the society. So in this session, I'm going to cover what is mean by sustainable development, and how this energy is more important for the development of the country, and how the governance has provided to carry on developing sustainable hydropower. And also, I'm going to cover certain case studies, okay, relevant to the hydropower stations across the country, and some of the issues and challenges that are facing hydropower development, and finally, some of the innovative solutions are already being practiced, and there are some areas which needs attentions for the researchers. I'm going to give such thoughts also to the audience this morning. So this is the outline of the session, and
I think so. Yes, sir. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some network
I think.
issue. He'll connect back, sir. He'll connect back. I think.
Yes,
Not quite.
yes. He'll
Yes,
rejoin
yes.
again.
Okay. Yes. All participants, please stay back. I think the speaker is connecting back. So I request you all to bear for a minute or so. The speaker is connecting back. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your patience.
Sir, network problem இருக்கு.
I request all participants to wait for some time. We are just connecting back. Yeah.
There is some network issue, so he'll rejoin again soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll wait. Participants, I request you all to please stay back. We will connect back to the speaker at the earliest. Please bear with us for a minute or so. We are making arrangements to make sure that the speaker connects back. Please stay back in this link only. Yeah.
Yes, welcome back, Dr. Johnson, sir. Hello. Dr. Johnson, sir. Hello. Johnson, sir.
Is it audible now? Hello?
Yes, you are audible now.
Sir, please go ahead. We can hear your voice. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So is it from the first
Johnson,
slide?
Johnson, sir, have you presented anything?
Yeah, I have presented. No, right now it starts from the first slide.
Okay, now it was not visible to us. Your presentation was not visible to us. You are visible, but your presentation was not visible.
Presentation is not visible. Okay. Hello. So
Yes, presentation, sir, you can continue.
Sir, visible, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Please.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead. We
Yes, sir,
can
you
see.
can start your presentation.
Please press full screen, sir. Please. Yeah. Yes, sir. I think it's visible, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, this is the outline of the session. The points that I'm going to cover in this session is what is a sustainable development, importance of energy, governance and sustainable development, case studies, innovative solutions for hydropower. So, as you well know, hello.
Yes, sir. Continue.
Sir, call back, reverse, call back, echo.
Hello, sir, I can hear you.
No problem. Okay, then it's no
You can
problem.
continue. Your presentation was visible. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yes,
It means sustainable development, it meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation. You all know the energy is very important. There is always a correlation established between sustainable development and availability of reliable and affordable electrical power. So increasing population in our country and the quality of life demand always increases energy supply. The conventional methods of energy supply have resulted in devastating environmental problems. So you know that all the thermal power plants, they are emitting a lot of greenhouse gases leading to the global warming. Apart from environmental pollutions. So increasing demands for environment friendly and renewable energy system is the need of the day. So hydropower is recognized as most important renewable energy source nationally and internationally. So in order to keep this hydropower a sustainable one, there is a proper governance, much prudence and discernment is needed. As you all know, that hydropower has been a leading source of renewable energy across the world, as I was telling the last class, accounting for about 71% of the supply as of 2016. Most of the contribution is from North America and Europe between 1920 and 1970. During this 50 years period, thousands and thousands of dams have been built in those areas. Even in our country, many dams have been constructed during those periods. The big dams stopped being built in developed nations because the best sites for dams were already developed, and environmental and social concerns made the cost unacceptable. So nowadays, more dams are being removed in North America and Europe than new dams are being built. The hydropower industry moved to building dams in the developing world since 1970s. Began to build even large hydropower dams along the Mekong River basin, which is in China, the Amazon River basin in Brazil, and the Congo River basin in Africa. So in almost all these areas, the same problems like the following have been repeated. Disruption of river ecology, deforestation, affecting aquatic and terrestrial biodiversity, releasing substantial greenhouse gases. Thousands of people are displaced, and people's livelihood have been altered, in addition to causing floods, affecting water quality and agriculture near them. So, under this scenario, we need innovative sustainable solutions to meet energy demands, guaranteeing food security and ensuring water availability around the globe. So over the years, the dams have been considered as useful one. Land management and flood control. Considering these parameters, also to store water for irrigation and agriculture, provide recreation and navigation, and to also address the management of aquatic resources. Often large dams are promoted with the idea that locals will gain some benefits out of them. However, the evidence suggests otherwise. A recent study using a database of 220 dam related conflicts found that in dams surrounded by controversies and conflict, the use of repression, criminalization, violent targeting of activists, and associations near the vicinity of the dams were common. So this is the result of a failure of the hydropower sector that demands good governance, keeping the sustainability issues in the hydropower sector. So communities affected by dams are frequently complained about the lack of consultation and attention to known negative impacts on society and environment, as well as the questionable promise made by the energy sector, stating that there is going to be cheaper energy bills, more jobs, better infrastructure such as schoolings and hospitals. So millions of people worldwide are affected by dam construction, either because they are permanently resettled due to filling of the reservoirs, because the livelihoods get disrupted with the construction and operation of the dam. However, there do not seem to be mechanisms to fully compensate them for the losses. People who are displaced often get an undervalued price for the land or buildings that does not consider the social, cultural, and religious value of the land or the way that people make their livelihoods on the land or the stretch of the river. In addition to that, it doesn't consider that after resettlement, people often lose their social networks and other types of social wealth, which has economical, cultural, social, and health consequences. Communities that are not displaced, like those that are downstream, generally do not get any compensation, although the effects of the dam on the livelihoods are just as great as the effects of those with their settlement. This problem seems to be even more significant considering that most people affected by the dam are the poorest and more vulnerable in the societies, and they are often indigenous and traditional communities. Monetary or non-monetary compensation mechanisms should consider that men and women are impacted differently by a dam and ensure that the most vulnerable are compensated. So as one seeks to build a just and sustainable hydropower sector, it is important to build mechanisms that guarantee that externalities will be internalized. In other words, those who benefit from hydropower and far away need to compensate local populations where hydropower is produced to offset the negative cost from energy production. They also should offset the heavy losses from transmitting power across great distance. A key function for institutions is reducing transaction costs that hinder the identifications of such inequities and externalities, as well as the functioning of offset programs. Sorry, somewhat these slides are having very deep points. However, just I do not going to give more. But anyway, I will touch upon few points. So when you go for the hydropower sectors, there are so many socio, economic, and political issues need to be addressed. Resettling people without concern for any of these issues will affect the public quite in a larger way. So whenever you go for hydropower, any nation has to keep these points, socio economic and political issues, then only these sectors can sustain. So as I was telling, some of the dams got old in countries like America and Brazil are being demolished. Instead of going for repairing them and retaining them. I would touch upon some of the other case studies also. So, from the local, from India, see, there are so many power houses in the Western Ghats connecting Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Kerala. So, in the Western Ghats, in southern part, there are so many hydropower stations existing. Almost all the power stations which are available in Tamil Nadu, most of them are have been installed in those areas. So, in those areas, there are some issues like landslips. And landslips always results in accumulation of silt in the reservoirs. So this causes a lot of erosion problems. And in addition to that, there are flooding issues also. So whenever this landslips occurs, so one has to be very cautious in order to avoid the flow of silt, large quantity of silt along with the canals or rivers to the reservoirs. Suppose if it is not done so, that will lead to lot of silting, sedimentations in the reservoirs. So this is one of the picture that has been taken, photo which has been taken when there was a flooding in the hydropower stations. So this is a case study in a place called Vaigai in Tamil Nadu. So they have gone for putting some kind of parapet wall. So these are all issues. When there is a flood, it inundates the nearby area. There was a nearby park, water because of flooding, that affected the so people rise up, stand against this hydropower, even though it is a cheap one, reliable one, because of these issues, people object. So there need to be proper flood forecasting, warning systems, proper flood routing, and proper floodplain zoning in the catchment areas. So cyclone forecasting, flood forecasting, all these things need to be concentrated. So a lot of studies are going on. Many people have gone for integrating these early warning systems in the hydropower stations areas also. So as I was earlier telling that reservoir sedimentation is another issue. In one of the dams in Tamil Nadu called Pillur, around 75% of the reservoir is filled up with the silt. And the removal of the silt is a big issue. And still it is a chronic one. So around 75% of the reservoir capacity is filled in with the silt. Only 25% is available for the water. The removal of silt is a big issue. The forest department are not allowing the our sector people to remove the debris or the silt from the reservoir and to deposit them in the nearby forest area. So some innovations have to be done in order to remove the silt from the reservoir. And also the civil engineering engineers, civil engineers or the researchers, they can really think of this, how can these sediments can be converted as a useful construction material, or is there in order to enhance the agricultural production, how this can be used. Other parts of our country, especially the northeastern part, the Himalayas is a very recent one, so it has got a lot of silting issues. If you take the hydropower projects in India, the total hydropower potential at 60% load factor is 44 megawatts, some way behind, but right now they are saying more than 1.4 lakhs. So potential river basins originating from Himalayas, out of this 84, it's one of the world data. So lot of potential available in this basin, Ganges basin, Brahmaputra basin. But the Himalaya is world's youngest mountain in age. So, though they say that 15 million years, when compared to all other mountain, Himalaya is a recent one, and full of sedimentary type of rocks. So whenever there is rain, and right now all the melting, ice melting issues and avalanches, so lot of silting problem is happening. When you compare those rivers in the Indus Basin or Ganges Basin and Brahmaputra basins with rivers flowing in the central India and southern India, the silt particles there are very peculiar. They are always in a suspended form. And they say that silt concentration in Himalaya river is more than 15,000 parts per million. So uncontrollable felling of trees, 40 methods of cultivation, construction of hilly roads, all these things are the reasons for silt erosion. So because of this silt, the turbine blades are very much affected. In addition to the reduction of the reservoir capacity, the suspended silt in the water, it considerably cause damages in the turbine runners on the gateways, and also it affects a lot of sealing systems also. So this is one of the challenges. This silt issue is an important challenge. These are some of the chemical, some of the constituents which are available in the silt. Which makes the silt very hard. It is able to just hit the turbine blade and form some pitting holes. So such is the hardness of the particles which are present in the silt. So hardness of quartz, more scale is 7. Quartz containing silt can be as high as 90%. So silt predominantly containing quartz causes damage to turbine, that too when associated with the heavy velocity flow. So innovative solutions against sedimentation is the need of the hour in order to sustain the hydropower, existing hydropower. So there is a three-pronged approach to manage the silt. One is the catchment area treatment. The second one is the desilting arrangement. Then design of silt-resistant underwater parts, especially the electrochemical equipments like your turbines and other parts. So if you take the biological, catchment area treatment, there are like biological measures, engineering measures. Turfing, plantation, foster development are coming under biological measures, which reduces silt erosion. Check dams, counterbunding, wire cutting, rock benching, geotextiling, networking of drainage wells over the slope of the mountains. They are encouraged in order to reduce the silt erosion. So a lot of innovations are going on in this front. So this is one of the simple check dam constructed across the river in order to contain the silt which are flowing into the main forebay. So catchment area treatment is given way back by National Hydropower Corporation. So much of money has been spent in order to improve the catchment area. So reduce the silting. So some turbine manufacturers say the experience shows that so far there is no solution which can eliminate silt erosion unless the undesirable silt itself is eliminated from the incoming water. So now there are some silt extruder method, desilting chamber. So they have been promoted, like flushing, regular flushing of reservoir. So all these things are some of the innovations. And dredging is a very costly one. This underwater excavation is a very costly one. So there is another case study, Salal hydroelectric project in northern India. So very much affected because of this reservoir silting. So they have gone for silt flushing through the spillway and afforestation and catchment area treatment to reduce soil erosion in upstream of project. So because of the suspended silt, very hard one, when it is going in, it just struck the turbine, it causes cracks. So this is one such desilting chamber arrangement. Okay, this is the main course of water where it is going. So there will be a conical shape. Okay, below that, water will be just circulating here, and the weighty particles will go down, and it will be going out, going in this direction. By use of flushing. So likewise, there are silt problems in Kanakpur hydroelectric project in northern India, and Camera hydroelectric project in northern India, Uri hydroelectric project in Uttarakhand, and desilting arrangements already introduced as an innovation. So next issues is apart from desilting issues in reservoir, dam safety issues. So what is a dam? Water is a vital resource to support all forms of life on the earth. Through the history of the world, dams and reservoirs have been successfully in collecting storing and managing water needed to sustain civilization. So across the world, I was telling in the beginning, thousands and thousands of dams which have been constructed earlier, nowadays they are being demolished. Okay. So is dam a harmful one to human environment? While dam provides benefits for society, the impacts on the surrounding also be addressed prudently. The main issues are resettlement issues. So I was telling about criminalization, social issues, like, so there have been incidents of strikes, road rockers, and agitations, okay, because of these resettling issues. People know many thousands and thousands of families need to be resettled, relocated. All through the history of, if you study the history of your typical dam, any typical dam, you have to read through more than 500 pages. It has got a lot of history in it. Okay, so there some history dams says they have given up the dam construction because of these resettling issues. So many issues like socio-economic impacts needs to be addressed, environmental concerns have to be addressed, sedimentation issues have to be addressed, and safety aspects. So whenever dam fails, so many people living in the downstream area, they will be immersed, right? Flooding will take place. So there are cases now. I was telling you, not in south, in Gaddai area, when flooding took place, more than 40 people have been carried away in the flood, and they have been buried alive in the river. So proper rehabilitation has to be done, and proper disaster management has to be done. So structural measures like dams and reservoirs, retention basins, embankments and flood walls, channel improvement, drainage improvement, diversion of floodwaters, watershed management, all these things need to be addressed in order to keep the dam from failing, keep the safety of the dams. I will just concentrate on some of the significant issues. There are three interconnected specific issues that have had particular significance in dam projects, which need to be dealt with differently in future development. They are resettlement of displaced people, related social economic issues, changes to existing fisheries, and local resources uses, and the effects on ecosystems. To ensure the continued and dependable delivery of benefits from a dam, the owner must have a comprehensive plan for operation, maintenance, and rehabilitation. As dams become older, safe performance becomes a concern. This requires more attention in the form of inspections, evaluations, and modifications, including upgradation. So dams are more important when they are usually built for one or more engineering and social economic purposes. The expansion of social services and improved infrastructure in the region served by the dam. For example, schools, hospitals, roads, fishing, recreational potential of reservoirs. All these things need to be addressed. So some of the provisions in newly hydroelectric projects for recently. So with this background, I would like to mention some of the key issues in the existing hydropower sectors, in the dams. So if the dams are not properly functioning, as in the case of US or in Europe, they need to be demolished. So proper monitoring systems in the existing hydropower has to be extended. It has to be strengthened. So there are cases nowadays the flood happens, you cannot foresee it. You cannot, though you can say that meteorological department come up with such and such day, some kind of storms can happen. But the quantity of rains, that takes place, you cannot quantify, you cannot foresee, you cannot forecast it. So the existing dams has got certain capacity to evacuate or to release the excess flood that takes place, excess water that is coming to a reservoir. So there is a proper design of spillway of that. But if proper appropriation or proper factors are not taken into account while designing, the spillway may not be sufficient to release the excess quantity of water because of unprecedented rains. There are some cases. In South India, there is a place called Servalar. This site has experienced heavy flood during 1990s. Even if the water was about to topple over the dam, just overflow the dam. So they say that there is a terminology called design flood. So the design flood has to be designed, and properly the spillway has to be fixed. Suppose if the design flood is not properly fixed, there was an engineer called Sesi. You know that in civil engineering there were two important people. One is Chesi, and other person is Rai. Even including Reynolds, they are all famous engineers. They have contributed a lot. Using the Chesi, the design, he has put some constant. That constant is considered for measuring the design flood. But that formula is no more valid now, because now you see unprecedented rains takes place anytime. So there is a terminology called PMF, probable maximum flooding. Probability study is taken up when unprecedented rain has occurred during the past 1,000 years. So like the data is collected, and the flood is considered for designing the spillways. So there are other issues like earthquakes, buckling. Already I touched upon. All these things now require innovations. So this is a beautiful picture of a dam. You see the white patches are leaching water. When it is leaking through the dam, it reacts with these cement particles. They are already there. It passes through that, and then it deposits. Let's see the dam. So, in order to address this issue, grouting is done. Grouting is just injection of cement slurry into the dam, so as to compensate. So this is another innovation. Maybe though this is there are so many new concepts are being addressed. So this is another important thing. Yesterday, professor was asking this question about the leakage. This dam, I don't want to name this dam. This dam was there in South India, in Tamil Nadu. It has experienced around 30,000 liters per minute of leakage to it. Then they tried the level best to stop that. So what they have done, they have stopped this power station for about 6 months. And in the upstream phase, they have put this kind of geomembrane treatment. Also, they have installed some instrumentations, like fiber optic cable mechanisms to sense the water leakage based on the moisture content, and then this will give alarm. So at what point the water is leaking. So this kind of innovation has been done in Tamil Nadu. And also in the tunnels, they often the rock fall can happen. So this has to be properly monitored periodically and strengthened. So this is innovation mechanisms to make the tunnel boring machines. The cost of the machine is around 30 crores. Very few corporations like HCC, Hindustan Construction Corporation. So these people, they are having this kind of machines to make the tunnel. So the aligning, all these things are other issues as of this tunnel alignment is concerned in the Hyderabad sector. So this is the dressing technology in order to prevent the rock fall and strengthen the rock moss. The beautiful view, inner view of the tunnel when it is empty. It is meant for flowing of water, taking the water from the reservoir to the turbine. And this is the inner details of how the reinforcements are laid, how the steel plates are fixed. So it's somewhat like civil and mechanical combined. All these works are carried out. But one part, you have to lay the concrete. The other area, the mechanical engineers will be busy with the laying of the steel plates, with the welding, and so on. So there is a terminology called dressing technique. The dress technique meant for drainage, reinforcement, excavation, and support solutions. So this is a key word in the tunnel. So drainage advance of rock mass ahead of the face with long drainage holes. You have to make a lot of drainage holes in the tunnel in order to remove the water which is flowing into the tunnel. Then one is the reinforcement of rock mass by installation of long 4 poles of 12 to 15 meter length and grounding. Then you have got the excavation and support solutions. So the sustainable development means, what does it refer? So important issue is the EIA and SI. So now the time is okay. Shall I just stop here before going into the other slides? I would like to hear from the audience what is that they have followed so far. 1 or 2 queries, and then I will go for the remaining slides, because the one way. Hello.
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 Sir, query session will be allowed in the last.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the impacts of hydropower, already I was telling that climate change due to CO2 emission is one of the major environmental challenges today. Renewable energies are the solutions to climate change. Small hydropower contributes to climate change mitigation because it is an inexhaustible energy source. It does not produce greenhouse gas emissions. So, in order to overcome all these issues, proper environmental impact assessment has to be made, social impact assessment has to be made, and decide better governance and sustainable solutions, incorporating innovative technologies are the need of the hour. So, in order to overtake these dams issues, silting issues, majorly in the US and other countries, European countries, small hydropower has been encouraged, even in China, because small hydropower stations doesn't require large dams. You require only inbuilt turbine. Okay, in stream, the stream itself just you just suspend, just hold the turbine without that permanently fixing, permanently housing them. Okay. If you categorize the hydropower schemes, uh, the hydropower stations are already, I have explained, they are classified as large, medium, intermittent, and small. In our country, in India, the style is, the power installed capacity from 1 to 10 megawatt is classified as small hydropower, mini power stations, micro power stations. So you have to understand the power stations which are large, medium, and intermediate requires huge construction of dams. No? Once you construct dam, you create a lot of reservoirs, big reservoirs. There are rehabilitation issues. But in the case of small hydropower, such issues are not there. They are like minimum. So it is a site-specific technology. There is always a maximum useful power output available from a given hydropower site. River flows often very considerably with the seasons. Power output require power output can reduce to a small fraction of the possible peak output. So yesterday, I was telling about the runoff river schemes. So in the runoff river schemes, you see, the water is just diverted. That's all. There is no permanent pondage. Maybe there may be small weirs or barrage gates here, but there won't be permanent pondage. Water is just diverted. So there is no issue of resettlement. There is no issue of resettlement or rehabilitation here. So it's a simple one. It can be built locally at low cost. Communities can operate and maintain. Okay, in Ooty, in Tamil Nadu, the municipality has gone further. There are a lot of tea estates. There. The tea estate owners have installed small hydro wheels, turbines across the streams there. They tap hydropower from those sources, as it was in the beginning. In the beginning, when hydropower came to India, British people, when they came to India, they settled in parts of West Bengal and parts of South, the Nilgiris. That's how it started. Here in South India, especially in Nilgiris, they got settled there. They provided big water wheels across the river canals to tap electricity for their tea factories. This is how it started. So now the small hydropower, it's like a re-engineering, reverse engineering, going back to the old methodologies. So more environmental friendly. It's a more environmental friendly. River flow is not at all stopped. A portion of flow diverted and delivered to a turbine. So this is typical small hydro power. So the civil engineers who are involved in this area need to come up with innovations, as many as they could. Various countries have defined this small hydropower in a different way. To take China, they call as micro hydropower less than 100 kilowatt. Mini between 101 to 500. Small 501 to 50,000 kilowatt. In US, it is less than. If it is less than 500 kilowatt, it is called as micro hydel. 501 to 2000, it is called mini. Less than 50,000, called small. In our country, if it is less than 100 kilowatt, it is called as micro. Less than to between, this is called mini. And from 2000 to 15,000 kilowatt, it is called small. So, like similarly in other countries. So, present globalized and consumerized world need sustainable development mechanism for the better tomorrow. Without sustainable development, we cannot stand here. Without sustainable development, we cannot live in this world. So every part of the life needs sustainability. So in the energy area, sustainability can be best drawn if small hydro power stations are encouraged. So these small hydropower projects can make a big difference in many lives. These are the basin-wise split up in our country. So Indus Basin, Ganga Basin, Central India River Basin, Western flowing river basins of South India, Eastern flowing river basins of South India, Brahmaputra Basin. So out of this, Brahmaputra Basin has got 66,000 megawatt capacity, okay, and Indus Basin next to that. So totally 1,48,000 as of now. So these are some of the private sector, public sectors. One is NHPC, Northeast Electric Power Company, NIPCO, Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam, Tegri Hydro Power Development Corporation, and NTPC Hydro. Originally, when NTPC came, it was for thermal construction. Now there is a separate wing called NTPC Hydro. They are also concentrating on hydro power development. So, with this background, how sustainability can be encouraged? In addition to this hydropower, we have biofuels, wind power, oil, nuclear power, solar energy. All these things can be combined. We are on the way to sustainable development. India's sustainable work towards reducing greenhouse gases will ensure that the country's per capita emission greenhouse gases will continue to be low until 2030-31, and it is estimated that per capita emission in 2031 will be lower than per capita global emission. This is as per one of the magazine. So the hope for future is small hydropower. So these are the benefits of some of the hydropower. It's a clean one. Doesn't produce greenhouse gases. It leaves no waste. No fossil fuel. What is not destroyed during the production of electricity can be used for other purposes. So, I would like to just recap. Though the hydropower has got a lot of benefits, if issues like reservoir-induced seismicity, so reservoir-induced earthquakes, sedimentation issues, and then leaking issues, resettlement issues, relocation issues, If all these issues are not addressed properly, it is at stake. Hydropower is at stake. So the researchers and engineers, students, all this, this fraternity must come forward to study the social, economic issues related with this thing, environmental issues, ecological issues in a deeper way, and how best they can contribute in this sector for sustainable development, and how best they can introduce innovations. Lot of innovations can be introduced in the existing hydropower stations, hydropower projects. For that, one has to consider the issues, the failures that has happened in the existing stations across the world. See, if you take this Tegri power station, Tegri Dam, it has undergone a lot of strikes by environmental people. Actually, they have almost stopped the construction of the dam, keeping the reservoir-induced seismicity issues. So, the engineering fraternity must come forward with solutions for that. So, they say that once there is a failure of dam, there will be a lot of inundation take place in the downstream area. There will be a lot of families, houses, and industries spoiled. So these are all the issues. So one has to come forward solutions to enhance the safety of the structures. Not only the safety of dams, but also the safety of the hydropower structures like penstocks, tunnels, and so on. So innovations need to be done for installing certain instrumentations in the dams, like to know the stress that is developed there, strain that is developing there, water leaking through the dam. So in the Tegri Dam, they have installed a lot of instruments in the body of the dam itself. So more and more innovations has to be introduced for the existing dams and the related structures also. And new innovations in the small hydro power has to be addressed more. New materials, like for conveying the water, pipes, instead of going for steel, why not going for some wooden pipes or some kind of FRP pipes, so which will not erode, which will not really break, something like that. So some innovations need to be addressed. Only then this hydropower can become a sustainable one. So with these points, I just conclude my session. So, and let us get ready for virtually any emergency situations. So, why I am saying this thing, in Kerala, there is a power house called Idiki. The dam is called an arch dam. This power house, some 5 years back, I suppose, there was a great bursting took place, right? Just before bursting of construction. That's an emergency. Okay. In some stations, flooding occurs. In one of the first station in Tamil Nadu, the station was constructed in 1932. That really experienced a flooding of the total powers. The total powers got flooded. Even power station in Pillu power station, it got flooded. There are several other issues, like in Jammu and Kashmir, the Kedarnath, Kedarnath. Some few years before, there was heavy flooding. Okay, the whole power stations got inundated. Okay, and some of the slope strengthening measures like revetments and all these gabion structures, all these things got disappeared. It was washed away. So we have to get ready for virtually any emergency situations. So when bad things happen, there are always ways to navigate successfully through the tough times to get our society back on track and back to normal life as soon as possible. The secret is to be prepared ourselves with human faith. Let us all join together and save our country in the coming years in order to make the development of our nation sustainable. Thank you. Jai Hind. Hello?
Hello, sir. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any participants? I request the participants to probably pose or ask questions related to this.
There is one
Is there any-
question from
Okay, I think
There is
okay.
one.
One. Okay. Sir, Jonathan,
Yes, sir. Yes,
can
sir.
you
Yes,
tell
sir.
them-
Sir, it is
Yes,
not
sir.
audible, sir. Yours is echo is coming.
Okay, okay.
You have posed some questions.
Yeah, I think it's. If you can browse this chat box, you'll get the details.
I'm just seeing it. I'm just seeing it. I'll let you know. One
Yes,
person
what
are the
has asked,
maintenance works?
water maintenance was carried out in earthen dams. See, it's a very interesting one. Earthen dams, it has, unlike the gravity dams like out of masonry and concrete, it has not slopes on the both the sides. The upstream face, where the water is standing in that area, there will be vertical, slightly slanting. It will have a masonry to house the gates. But in the left flank and right flank side, there will be slopes. The slopes they put only boulders over the slope in order to minimize the effect of the waves, right? So because of the constant waves, there will be erosion there in the earthen dams. And other things, there will be a lot of pipings. So there are some cases in our country. So slowly leaks take place, and then the leakage, if it is not addressed properly in the course of time, it will form like a pipe. A lot of water will be going through, it will result in demolition of dam. So it needs to be properly addressed. You have to check in those revetments, pointing, and in the downstream side, they go for turfing. Proper drains should be there in order to release the rainwater. So these are the major maintenance work normally done in the dam. You have to go through this thing, and then damages, some animals or some creeper, creeping animals, and also some bushes, growth of bushes, jungles. So all these things has to be addressed properly in the maintenance works. For that, there is a pakka mechanism in the government. There is a dam safety department in PWD, Public Works Department. They got a dam safety wing. The dam safety wings, they go for pre-monsoon and post-monsoon inspection. Is it audible now? Sir, is it audible? I'm just trying to speak.
Yes.
Loudly.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, sir. The next thing is,
Sir, and one more question, sir.
any other question?
Yes, sir. Sir, can silting be a threat for safety of dams?
Can you please type it? Questions. I am
Sir,
not.
please type your query in the chat window. Yeah.
Sir, that is not sending, sir. It is telling that failed to send.
Okay, no problem. You can speak.
Yeah, I was asking whether silting is a problem or threat to safety of dams, sir.
Silting is it's a big problem. See, in the reservoir, there are different zones. The bottommost zone is dead zone. Okay, dead level below the dead level, called dead storage. The dead storage is meant for collecting the storing the sediments. Okay, because of its virtue of its weight, it just comes down and settles there. Okay, there will be vents, scour vents, the bottom side of the dam. They will periodically, they have to periodically evacuate. In the case of power dams, but normally in the power dams they don't do that. In the irrigation dams, when the water is let out for the irrigation, the silt will go away. But in the case of power dams, if the flushing is not properly done through this cover vent, periodically the silt will get accumulate. Okay, that's what happened in Kullu. Okay, after the 25 years, when they tried to open the scour, they could not open. And even if they tried to open, the water came out of the dam in an uncontrollable way. It really flooded the downstream area. Okay, that's silting is a big problem. When it is suspended form, it goes there and damages the penstock pipes and affects the turbines also.
So there is another one query.
Under what situations we go in for earthen dam construction?